Happy New Year and welcome
Happy.
to 2026 first episode of It's All Relational, the official WAMFT podcast. I'm really happy today to be joined by WAMFT President Billie Tyler. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And it's been such a great addition to WAMP to have this podcast.
Yeah, thank you. You know, I think it's just a nice way to be able to communicate really directly with membership and with potential members as well. I'm hoping that we can kind of keep this going. But we kind of were thinking today it'd be nice to start off. We got new year, new you, new WAMPed. Thinking about like what the kind of state of the union is, what priorities WAMPed has this year, what members can look forward to, kind of all of those things here. And what better person to talk to about that than the president herself, Madam
I'm
President.
happy to.
You're not the first female president of WAMPed.
No,
Yeah.
I would say there's been historically multiple female
Is there been
presidents.
more female presidents than male presidents?
I believe so.
Okay.
I think, yeah. I'm like on our website under the history
Oh
timeline, it kind
yeah.
of goes the
Right.
past
Yes.
presidents.
Yes.
Um, and so I'd have to go pull that up to know
Right.
for sure. But I'm
Right.
pretty sure off of my recollection
Yeah.
that there have been more
Nice.
females than men.
Nice. And it's a great organization. So, you know, lot to be learned from that.
Yeah,
um,
for sure.
so, Billy, when you think about 2026 and WAMP, what are some of the kind of like big things this is going to be your final year of your presidency, right?
Yeah.
I'm wondering what are some of the big things that come up for you that you're hoping to accomplish?
I think this year, after kind of doing end of the year meetings with other board members, chatting with people at conference, what really stands out to me is like WAMP having a stronger sense of identity, what makes it important for people to like even have a professional
Yeah.
organization in today's climate. And so I think a lot of us who are on the board understand that and see that, but I don't know that we have hit the mark on being able to communicate that out to the MFT
Yeah.
community as a whole, as
Right.
well as I think we need to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. These professional organizations, obviously WAMP has evolved a lot over its time, now being an independent affiliate. You know, a lot of folks that I talk to in the private practice world, which is, what I do, um, are not as familiar with WAMP or familiar with the benefits of it. So I wonder for you, like you're saying, this kind of sense of identity is so important. What are the kind of, what's your elevator pitch, so to speak, for how
Yeah.
you'd like your, prospective members to
Yeah.
think about WAMP?
I think especially now, I think even my elevator pitch has probably evolved a bit over time. If you would have asked me when I first joined
Right.
WAMP, like why joining, it was definitely for the connection
Yeah.
of other
Hmm.
systemic thinkers.
Totally.
I was finding that, you know, I was consulting with
Hmm.
people who were just had a different lens
Yeah.
that wasn't systemic,
Right.
and sometimes finding it difficult to bounce ideas
Hmm.
because they weren't conceptualizing what was
Yeah.
going on in
Right.
the same way. And so that was a big draw for
Mm.
me, was just to feel more connected to
Right.
other people who kind of conceptualize and think the way that
Hmm.
we do. That is still true,
Hmm.
still such a benefit
Yes.
of WAMP, like, providing that, but I think it has developed for me, even further to kind of protect that lens,
Hmm.
and that how important that lens is in our current, like, communities and societies to be able to think about the larger systems and how
Right.
they interact with each other, and I think in our legislative system, there's been some things that kind of
Right.
have made me nervous on like diluting
Right. Hmm.
people's ability to like seek further
Right.
education or
Right.
like the necessity in
Right.
really
Hmm.
cultivating and honing that
Right.
systemic lens.
Hmm.
I think, people who aren't in our field, they kind of lump us all together
Yeah.
as if like we're one and the same.
Right.
And although there's a ton of overlap and we can help in a
Hmm.
lot of ways, we definitely have differences that I think are
Right.
really important to our communities.
Totally.
And so I think being part of WAMFT and like other professional organizations like AMFT as
Right.
well,
Right.
I think it does a lot to help just support us up on,
Yeah.
like, on the hill
Right.
and keeping our pulse on what's going on and making sure that we're paying
Hmm.
attention to that. And then just being able to support all of the people who are out there
Yeah.
kind of on the ground,
Right.
private practice,
Hmm.
community mental health,
Hmm.
hospitals, like
Yeah.
schools, faculty.
Right.
Um, I think WAM's job is to
Hmm.
support
Hmm.
people in those communities,
Right.
and some of that support is really direct, and then I do think some of that support is, like, everyone's benefiting, uh, regardless if they're
Right.
members of work that we're doing.
Totally, totally. And well said, how that's evolved for you from just initially being a kind of connection point to thinking about broadening the impact, that we can have. And,
Yeah,
we are still in this world, where portability, I know, is a big thing people are thinking about, but we
yeah,
are very much in a world where we work within our state, right? Within our state
yeah,
license. And so, you know, it's important to be able to connect with other professionals, other systemic thinkers in the state that are dealing with, the challenges that we face on a state level. Now, in
yeah,
in your time as president, some of the things that Grant has offered have evolved, right? So last year we
yeah,
launched the directory, as an example. That's a new
yeah,
benefit for members.
yeah, and I really wanna, like, credit Michelle Finley, who
Hmm.
was president,
Right.
times before, um, me, but that was really her vision
Mhm.
to be able to offer a place for people to, again, reach out to other like-minded individuals for referrals or looking for
Right.
supervisors. And so, that was certainly a big labor of
Hmm.
love, from her to like
Right.
really put the effort and the thought behind that. And so
Yeah.
it's been pretty cool to be able to finally like get it
Hmm.
launched, have
Hmm.
people doing it, and we still need people. So
Yeah.
if people have signed up for the
Right.
directory, like they definitely should because it's an excellent resource to
Yes.
turn to.
Yes. And there's information on our social media about how to do that if you are still wondering. Now,
Yeah.
part of what your priorities in this year, you kind of revamping, retooling our scholarship and award system. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah. So historically, scholarships and awards have happened, I guess, at different points. At some point, we had like a whole gala. I
Yeah.
think it's been on that history
Hmm. Hmm.
timeline. That was before my time, and then it kind of transitioned into it happening at
Hmm.
conference, and then
Hmm.
it transitioned into happening at the holiday party.
Yeah.
Um, and I think the board in general
Hmm.
wants to make sure we can really highlight
Yeah.
and like celebrate the
Absolutely.
people in our communities. And
Right.
again, talking about how do we hit the mark on that, that's something the board really wants to talk more about
Right.
at our upcoming
Right.
retreat to better support people in especially those awards.
Hmm.
And then scholarships, just trying to do a better job
Hmm.
of letting people know they're out there. They're there
Yeah.
for students, but they're also there for associates. And we
Right.
offer the supervision scholarship. So someone who might be interested in becoming an approved
Yeah.
supervisor, that is a pretty big
Right.
financial and time commitment.
Hmm.
And that's something we want to support people so we
Yeah.
can get, again, those like systemic
Hmm.
thinkers and
Yes.
like
Right.
helping support that in our community.
Yeah, I know that that's been a change, right? That's kind of a new benefit that we're trying to offer people that are wanting to become supervisors or non-students to can access these scholarships for trainings and for things that they are wanting to pursue. And that's a really exciting benefit. I think we're kind
Yeah.
of unique as an independent affiliate that we offer something like
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think more information, probably in February, March, will start coming out
Great.
about the specifics of
Yeah,
how the board envisions trying to make those changes.
totally. Now, you are also referencing part of your evolution and your elevator pitch, and you're thinking about WAMFT was recognizing the need for legislative, work and having a professional organization that advocates, in Olympia. And so I'm curious, like this year, what are some of the things that we're looking at when it comes to legislative priorities?
Yeah. I think one of our biggest priorities this year is going back to that
Hmm.
um, protecting the profession.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and in a lot of ways, it might even be more globally. Like we've partnered up and joined the Behavioral Health
Mm,
Coalition with
right.
LMHCs, social
Hmm.
workers, psychologists, so that we can try and have a stronger voice up
Right.
with our legislators, because there is a lot of overlap
Hmm.
in kind of like our needs and supporting honestly like the community, the clients that we
Yeah.
see,
Right.
and them
Hmm.
understanding the differences between all of us
Right.
and where
Right.
overlaps and where we can support each other. So I'm really excited
Hmm.
about that,
Yeah.
to have a little bit more collaboration
Right.
on the Hill.
Mhm.
And then I think just protecting our license.
Yeah.
And I think our legislative chair right now is working with our consultant
Right.
slash lobbyist
Right.
um, on how to best do that
Yeah.
this
Absolutely.
year.
Yeah. And as we go into February, March, where, traditionally we've done the 30-day hill climb or the day of the hill, we're going to talk more. We'll probably have Amber on again, on the
Yeah.
podcast to talk about some of those specific priorities, as
Yeah.
those become more clear as we get closer to the legislative session. But, like you're saying, protecting the profession has always been, kind of one of our chief reasons for existence as a professional organization. Um, we've strengthened that by joining this behavioral health coalition, aligning
Yeah.
with the other professional, therapists and counselors. So it's exciting, and the important thing, I think that's so much of what I hope people can get involved with is the kind of legislative priorities. That's as a member a huge way you can kind of volunteer and engage, and we're going to have more information about that as we get
Yeah.
further into the winter and spring.
And one thing I just want to add to what you were just saying is there's so many ways to get involved.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, oh, I joined the legislative
Hmm.
committee and I'm going to
Right.
regular meeting. It might be like just paying attention to
Hmm.
when there's like a call to like contact
Hmm.
your representative about
Hmm.
something that
Right.
our profession, or donating
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
funds so that
Right.
we can continue to have our
Hmm.
consultant and like representation there. So I think it's
Hmm.
important for everyone to just remember that there's
Yeah.
a lot of ways to get involved in that process,
Yeah.
and finding kind of your own advocacy identity
Hmm.
is really important.
Totally. Yeah, yeah. And it's, I think, especially at a time like now, politically, where people are, struggling and people are looking for ways to make a difference and, impact change. This is a super specific way, for people in our
Mhm.
profession, that has very tangible impacts, right, for all of us.
Definitely.
Now, you know, beyond the Day on the Hill or the 30-day march, you know, other programming that's happened historically for WAMFT, we always have this spring ethics series. And can you talk
Yeah.
more about what that's going to look like this year?
Yeah, so the Spring Ethics series this year is going to be about Mythbusters. So those
Mhm.
things about
Not about the
being
show, right?
oh yeah, not about the show. Yeah. No copyright infringements,
Yes.
hopefully. But the myths of
Yes,
being an MFP,
totally.
and I'm really looking forward
Hmm.
to seeing what like the speakers are going to be
Right,
talking about
right.
there. I'm sure that like AI is kind of at the top of everybody's
Absolutely.
mind.
Right,
Um, and how like I think, it can help in so many ways with the admin side of being a
right.
therapist, but trying to figure out how do we do that ethically.
Yes.
Um, and so I'm really looking forward to that
Yeah.
series.
Yeah, I know KJ, our ethics chair, is putting a lot of thought into, what that all is all going to look like. But the AI guidance is definitely going to be a big part of our year, just because that's, part of everyone's year, 2026,
Yeah.
right?
It's the current topic.
It is. And, in our podcast that we had with Amanda Darnley, she made a really good point when it came to this, that technology, always moves faster, right, than legislation. So,
Yeah.
we are having to adapt and adjust, to this new technology that is really significant. And think about a way to do that that's going to be ethically sound and serve our
Yeah.
clients best. So AAMFT is releasing more, guidance, ethical guidance on that, this year, and we're going to be kind of aligning with them and
Yeah.
talking more about what that looks like in Washington State and our with our specific laws, right? But
Yeah.
more to come on that. So that's going to be exciting with the myth busting spring ethics
Yeah.
series.
I also know that KJ has been working really hard to make sure there's some new CEs that are kind of going to start being
Hmm.
asked of us, that,
Right.
clinicians,
Hmm.
cultural,
Right. The
one, and
Yeah, health equity.
health equity,
Yeah,
yep. And so I think, that's also a
right.
hope in this series, is that it can meet some of those needs so that,
Absolutely.
our hope is to really benefit our membership
Right.
in being a place to come for those
Yeah.
requirements to help make it a little easier and accessible for
Yeah,
all of them as
absolutely. Being that kind of one-stop shop, for our members,
yeah,
so you get the, your membership discount on all these things, and it's allows you to kind of have your trainings be focused on systemic, thinking. Because you can
exactly.
always get there's always this stuff out there. We all get the mailings, from
Yeah,
all the different organizations that provide trainings. So you can always get your CEUs, but doing it through WAMFT is going to ensure that it's going to be in line with systemic thinking. So
right.
speaking of that,
Yeah.
we have a really unique conference, that we're planning this
Yes.
year.
Claudia, our president-elect, has been honestly working really hard as soon as conference
Hmm.
ended
Right, right.
to yeah, last year's
Yes,
conference,
yes.
2025. She didn't really pause.
Hmm. Hmm.
She just went full steam ahead in
Yes,
planning this year's conference, which is really exciting because we get to have it at the Wolf Lodge. I think
yes.
that's what it's called.
Grey Wolf
Let me know.
Lodge.
Great Wolf Lodge, yeah.
Yes,
And
yeah.
I'm really excited about that because, my first year as
Mhm.
president-elect, we had it in Spokane,
Right.
and we got a lot of feedback that people liked kind of that, like,
Hmm.
destination,
Yeah, right,
opportunity, and so I think this is even a bigger scale of that
right.
where um, in February, we'll be able to release like a link for room blocks.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I know I'm going to bring my kids
Yeah,
so they
me
can
too.
hang out
Yeah.
during the
Hmm.
day, play
Hmm.
at the water park while I'm doing that. But I'm really excited
Yeah.
for like
Hmm.
the conference this year is all about connection
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
being connected and leaning into that. And I think it's going to be a good opportunity for us to like
Totally.
connect outside of just the learning, which is
Yeah,
always awesome at conference,
right.
but um, get to know each other a little bit more,
Absolutely. Yeah.
just connect with our families and
Yeah.
our as well.
Yeah, having a location like this that allows for a lot of just kind of natural connection outside of the, events, it's going to be really cool, And
Yeah.
so Grey Wolf Lodge, for those of you that don't know, it's like a water park, an indoor water park connected to a hotel. And so we're going to have like in the conference rooms of the hotel, the conference is going to be happening during the day, but then your kids and partners can be with the kiddos and enjoying the water park, and then you know after doing a trauma training, you can go and float in the lazy river. Right?
Totally.
Yeah,
And they have great restaurants, I heard. I'm really excited. My
yeah,
kids have actually to go to Great Wolf Lodge for a while now, and
perfect.
so now great, here we go.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so it's an opportunity to kind of have a bit of a destination, a vacation,
Yeah,
alongside of, getting some of the excellent trainings. And, I know as currently you can sign up for the early bird on the website, the
yeah.
the early bird discount. But yeah, in February we're going to release more rooms, and we're going to find out more about the keynotes and guest speakers as the year goes
And I
on.
will just echo on the early bird registration. This will definitely be your chance to get the
Mhm.
best price on
Right.
conference. Um, and I'm I'm pretty sure that we will be offering hybrid again. And what that means it but
Yeah,
I don't know if all the options are gonna be there, but you'll
sure.
be able to get it at every session, something online. And so if for some reason you can't join us
Mhm,
at Great
mhm.
Wolf Lodge, which I hope many of you can, there's still a way to get those trainings and get those CE
But
as well.
you can't get the lazy river, you know.
No,
So
we can't do the lazy
yeah,
river.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So you're gonna really need to show up at Great Wolf if you want to do that.
I agree.
Yeah,
Unless you're YouTubing it or
yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah. That would be great. You're watching the
Yeah.
trading from the lazy river. Well,
Love
that's why not, you know?
yeah.
Yeah, so this is an exciting, going to be a really exciting year when it comes to our
Yeah.
programming and events. One other thing, and this is kind of in my court as the technology chair. I'm really excited about getting our Discord channel launched. And for those of you that aren't aware of Discord, it's a platform where people can join and network, and there's a lot of different channels people can discuss. So it'll be useful for students, for preclinical members, clinical members, supervisors to be able to discuss things, potentially opening up further to, like, a referral base for, practitioners that are looking to, um, find uh, good therapists for their, potential clients. That's been something I've been excited about, I know, and
Yeah.
hoping to launch here in Q1 of 2026.
Yeah. I think it's awesome, and, I think you have really brought a lot to WAMPT in regards to, like, just having more accessibility in the way we can communicate and reach out to, membership and even beyond, and
Yeah.
I think just like this podcast,
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
this is a new, kind of more innovative way for us to try and, reach everyone, and so I'm really excited.
Totally. Yeah. So some really, really cool things happening this year, Billy. And I'm wondering, you're gonna be, hanging up your spurs at the end of 2026. What would you like to be able to say about your time as president when you get there?
Yeah, this isn't the, like, most exciting answer, but I feel pretty strongly, about my hope in this year, and then I will still be around as past president
Yes.
for,
Right.
but is to really help strengthen, like, some of the, like, systems of
Hmm.
how WAMFT
Yeah.
works
Right.
so that, volunteering
Hmm.
and being a part of WAMFT doesn't burn people out
Right.
and has sustainability.
Hmm.
Because I do think having professional organizations are really important, and we're
Yeah.
seeing so many of those state level
Right.
organizations disappear.
Right.
Um, and I know for me in my
Mm.
career, like WAMP has been a
Yeah.
huge support to me
Right.
and just like a place to like
Hmm.
build community and
Yeah.
network and like be able to, you know, consult or bounce ideas
Hmm.
or all of those things. And
Yeah.
so I want to figure out how can we do this where
Hmm.
people can get involved in the way that they can. I
Right.
think we're all stretched thinner than we ever have
Of
been
course. Yeah.
right now. And so that's really my
Yeah.
focus.
Yeah.
I don't like we have so many great opportunities and programming and so it's not I don't have any big huge ideas on adding to that, but
Right.
hopefully just like refining some of the
Yeah.
system to make those
Right.
happen so that can
Hmm.
support I like really envision my role as like I support the
Hmm.
board and
Hmm.
like the EC supports the board so the
Right.
board can support membership
Right.
and our members support our
Hmm.
communities. So
Yeah.
that's really my hope is that I can figure out better ways so that the board feels even more supported
Totally.
and build from there.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a pretty exciting answer.
Well, that's good. It's just not as exciting as like I'm gonna like open a new program
Yeah,
or
right. Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, strengthening systems, that's kind of what we're all about, as
yeah.
MFTs. So I think that's a perfect way to cap off your time here. And thank you so much for joining us today and talking about this. And I hope that members feel excited about, hearing about all we're going to be providing this year. And I know I'm certainly excited about seeing what the new year has to bring.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much for having me.